Hi guys, and welcome back to Slice of Mike. I wanted to do a review just briefly for a book that I read recently and had a pretty good time reading, and that book is The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. It's a book that I had been seeing posts about pretty consistently for about 2 weeks, and I finally decided to just pick it up and give it a go. Before picking this up, I had never heard of Ken Liu, but he does have another novel which is called The Grace of Kings, and it is part of a Silk Punk trilogy. It's the first book in that trilogy, but he also translated The Three-Body Problem, which is written by Cixin Liu and is the first translated work to ever win the Hugo Award. I know some people really aren't into short stories, and this is a book of short stories, if I haven't already mentioned, but I really do love short stories, and that's kind of a love that's developed in recent years. I didn't really think that I did, but I love the form of short stories because it gives authors the chance to put forth more ideas and to develop very quick but very concentrated bursts of thought, and I just really enjoy reading them, so I was very excited to read this collection of short stories. There is a very odd mix of stories here that reminded me of my favorite author, China Miéville, in a way because his stories are also known for being very different from each other, and in here we have an assortment of steampunk and pure science fiction and fantasy and stuff set in the present day with no science fiction or fantasy elements, so there's just a very eclectic blend of writing styles being used here in this collection. Which is why I don't feel terrible about not enjoying every single story in this book. I've mentioned before that it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to enjoy every story in a short story collection just because the nature of each story is so wildly different than the one before it, but I've never felt such a wide gap between the stories that I have loved in a collection and the stories that I did not love at all. These stories all made me feel something, and I'm not mad that they made me feel upset in certain parts. I think that was just an effect that happened, and that's totally okay. The stuff that was science fiction in here, I really did not enjoy at all. I think it might be the author's writing style and the way that he develops stories told in space. I just didn't like them at all, and it's not that it's different than stuff I've read before, it's that it's maybe too similar to stuff I've read before. It doesn't really break boundaries in the way that I would expect short stories to do so. I also found a few of the stories to be very preachy in the way that they talked about technology and its role in society and how that might change for the worse. And I know that science fiction is meant, to some extent at least, to be cautionary, but at the same time, there's a subtle way to do that, and there is an effective way to do that, and I feel like some of these stories just felt like they were really trying to hammer their points home, and I didn't like that. One unanticipated thing that I enjoyed about this collection of short stories is how prevalent Chinese and also Japanese culture is in pretty much every story in this collection. Not only did I learn things about Chinese creation myths and the various supernatural entities found in Chinese folktales, but I also learned a lot about Chinese culture and history and things that have actually happened that we really don't talk about here in the US, usually because we had involvement in them that we don't want to admit that we had. So now we come to the part of the video where I either recommend the book or I don't recommend the book. And with this particular collection, I would have to say that I don't recommend it for purchase. I know it's not a very flattering way to think about a book, but it just doesn't seem like a good investment to me. I don't think that your return on value, let me throw out more business terms at you. I think you will really connect with a few things like I did, but I think everything else is just gonna flow right past you. The thing about these stories is that many of them are available online, so you could potentially read about the stories that are present here and then search for them online and find them on various websites. Completely legal, but like I said, they're all available online. In the comments below, let me know if you guys are planning on reading this or if you've read it already. Maybe we can talk about the stories that you liked and kind of see if there's a general consensus on what worked and what didn't work for us in this collection. That is going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!